He shook my hand firmly. Just made junior partner at Goldman, he said. No, nice to meet you. No genuine warmth, just an announcement of status, exactly the Lennox family's love language. Owen gave me a warmer greeting, though his wife Nora's smile seemed strained. Later I learned she'd been the one tasked with finding this impressively exclusive restaurant for tonight's dinner, and she was nervous it would meet everyone's standards. Well, my mother said as I took the last empty seat, we've already ordered champagne. I hope that's acceptable. They had chosen the most expensive option on our list, showy but not reckless. Typical around us. The restaurant hummed with the energy I'd worked so hard to cultivate. The lighting was dim enough for intimacy but bright enough to appreciate the artful plating. The sound level perfectly balanced conversation and privacy. Tables were spaced just so, close enough to create energy, far enough apart for discretion. Every detail had been my decision. Linen weight, custom chairs that encouraged diners to linger without discomfort. I watched the staff's subtle reactions as they realized I was sitting with guests. Jules, our sommelier, caught my eye as he approached with the champagne. The slightest raise of his eyebrow asked if I wanted acknowledgement. I gave an imperceptible shake of my head. Excellent choice, he said to my father instead, presenting the bottle with practiced elegance before beginning to pour. We're celebrating an engagement, my father announced unnecessarily, clearly hoping for special treatment. Congratulations, Jules replied smoothly. Dinner unfolded in the familiar rhythm of thinly veiled judgments wrapped in compliments, achievements measured like jewelry. So, Arya, my mother began, have you thought more about business school? You're still young enough to pivot if this venture doesn't work out. I smiled tightly, choosing not to answer immediately. My silence stretched just long enough for Nora to shift uncomfortably before I spoke. This venture, as you call it, is fully booked 3 months out, and we had a food critics card left on my host stand last week. My sister Lily raised her eyebrows. Impressive. But don't you ever wonder if you're limiting yourself? Restaurants are so unstable. Every industry is unstable, I said. Ask Wall Street. Owen chuckled, earning a sharp look from Lily. The food arrived, dishes I had personally overseen, though tonight they bore no trace of my presence. To my family, they were simply the work of a talented kitchen, not their daughter's creation. I let them eat. I let them praise the cuisine without realizing they were praising me. Marcus, sorry, Theo, our floor manager, and Leah, the server I'd trained, moved with a practiced diplomacy. Leah placed an amuse-bouche before each diner, a compressed watermelon sphere topped with fermented black garlic and a microgreen I'd sourced from a specialized urban grower. Her eyes met mine briefly, a flash of loyalty, before she slipped back into professional mode. Is this all? Lily asked, examining the single bite with disappointment. I'm famished. It's an amuse-bouche, Leah explained. A palate opener. The meal hasn't actually started yet. I know what an amuse-bouche is, Lily snapped. I'm not culturally illiterate just because I chose law instead of playing with food. My mother took the smallest possible bite, conscious of calories. My father popped the whole thing in his mouth. Owen and Nora seemed to appreciate it. Martin made a show of analyzing flavors with nonsense terms. Only Lily left hers untouched. It's fermented black garlic, I said gently when she complained, not raw. It's been aged 60 days in a controlled environment, a process I perfected after 3 years of experimentation. Leah's face flashed with the disappointment she felt at Lily's snub. In that instant I felt protective, not of myself but of my staff. I had built Maison not just as a restaurant but as a family of sorts, bound by shared passion rather than blood. The evening was only beginning, and already the old dynamic settled in. I was the outsider, the one who chose the wrong path and whose choices needed justification. But I wasn't the insecure woman from 5 years ago. I sat at this table with a secret strength, one that would soon turn the dynamic on its head. So tell us about the wedding plans, I said deliberately, shifting the attention back to Lily as our next course arrived. Heirloom tomatoes with house ricotta and basil oil, a composition I'd labored months to perfect. Lily brightened immediately. We've booked Street Thomas Church, reception at the plaza. 400 guests, though mother thinks we should cut to 350, the list's getting unwieldy, she said. My mother interjected. The Astor Williams aren't speaking to the Bennetts after that yacht incident, so we can't seat them together. I bit into the tomato dish. Martin leaned forward. It's networking, not just celebration. Half those invitations are relationship investments, he said. My father agreed. A wedding of this caliber opens doors. And what about you, Arya? Lily's tone turned sharp. Any prospects, or are you still too busy with your cooking? She had barely touched her food, pushing the heirloom tomatoes around her plate. I'm focused on my career right now, I answered. Career? Owen repeated with a small laugh. Is that what we're calling it? My mother chimed in. Dara, I mean, Arya dear, surely by 29 you're thinking about settling down. She suggested a lovely son of their friend who worked in hospital administration. Before I could respond, Leah reappeared to clear plates. I'd barely tasted my own course, too tense to enjoy it. Is there a problem with the dish? Leah asked Lily, noting her nearly full plate. Too acidic, Lily replied dismissively. The tomatoes could have been riper. Those tomatoes had been chosen at their peak that morning from a farm contracted specifically for us. Leah offered practiced diplomacy. I'll be sure to inform the kitchen. The next course, seared scallops with brown butter emulsion and pickled ramps, arrived. My father declared it promising. Martin swirled his wine and pronounced it passable. He cut the delicate pasta I'd rolled by hand with a fork instead of twirling it as intended. I watched the micro-reactions: appreciation, condescension, entitlement. How exactly are you affording a place like this on a food service salary? Lily asked bluntly when the tagliatelle course came. I manage my finances carefully, I replied. Oh please, Lily scoffed. A dinner here costs more than you probably make in a day. Who are you dating? Is he paying? I'm not dating anyone, I said evenly. There's no shame in needing help, Martin said, trying to reassert control. No, I said, my voice tight. I don't need help. When the duck came, Martin declared it raw, and demanded it be returned. Leah's professionalism flickered into annoyance. I gave her a slight nod. She would have the kitchen prepare a new breast properly rather than overcooking what was already correct. When the recooked duck returned, he pronounced it much better, though it was dry and overdone. The evening wore on. Laughter, criticism, and old judgments wore grooves into me. With coffee came the moment I'd both dreaded and anticipated, the check. Theo approached with a black folder and placed it discreetly in the center. My father reached reflexively, but Martin intercepted with practiced smoothness. Consider it my treat, he said, making generosity into a power move. Bradley, excuse me, Martin, opened the folder. His smile shifted to shock as he registered the total. A dinner for 7 with premium wine pairings and the $800 Bordeaux ran well over $3,000, a statement, not obscene for a restaurant of Maison's caliber. He reached for a black card, making sure everyone noticed. Lily, sensing her opening, circled back. Arya, she said, voice dripping with false sweetness, you never did say how you're managing to contribute to this dinner. We wouldn't want you stretching yourself financially on our account. All eyes turned to me. I could feel the familiar tightening in my chest, the sensation of being cornered and found wanting. I can cover my portion, I said. Can you though? She pressed. Because we all know what food service pays. Are you in debt? Maxing out cards to keep up appearances. My father murmured. Heather, I mean Lily, perhaps this isn't. No, Lily insisted. We rearranged our whole evening for this dinner. Either you're being financially irresponsible or you're hiding something. I opened my mouth to tell the full story, to reveal the restaurant and watch their faces change, when Martin frowned at the bill. Wait. There's a mistake, he announced. They've only charged us for the wines, not the food. He signaled for Theo. Theo approached with perfect timing. In truth, my staff likely had been watching the unfolding drama. Is there a problem, sir? Theo asked. Yes, you've only charged us for the beverages, Martin said, pointing. Theo looked between the check and me. I decided in that moment the charade had gone on long enough. I gave Theo a barely perceptible nod. There's no error, sir, Theo said smoothly. The dinner portion has been taken care of. My father asked, frowning. By whom? Theo turned to me, professional demeanor giving way to a warm smile. Welcome back, Miss Arya. Your usual table is ready for your investors. Would you like me to handle the situation? The hush that followed was absolute. 6 pairs of eyes turned to me in stages of confusion and disbelief. Thank you, Theo, I said, my voice steady despite the adrenaline. Yes, please close out Mr. Carrington's beverage tab. The rest is on the house, as usual. Very good, Miss Arya, he replied, taking the folder from Martin's slack grip. Chef Lila would like your opinion on the new spring menu items when you have a moment. She'll stop by the kitchen before your meeting. As Theo left, I looked directly at my family. Their expressions ranged from confusion to shock to dawning understanding. What is happening? My mother finally managed. I took a deep breath. The moment I had both dreaded and secretly anticipated for 5 years had arrived. Welcome to Maison, I said simply. My father recovered first, shifting from confusion to calculation. Your restaurant, he repeated carefully. No, father, I clarified, feeling a calm settle over me. I own Maison. I'm the executive executive chef and sole proprietor. That's impossible, Lily blurted. This is one of the most exclusive restaurants in the city, featured in major magazines. Yes, I said. We were in Food and Wine last month. Bon Appetit had a feature. The New York Times gave us 4 stars last year. Martin stared at me as though I'd started speaking another language. But you said you worked in food. You were vague because I wanted to see how you would treat me if you thought I was struggling, I said. You made that abundantly clear tonight. My mother's hand fluttered to her pearls, the gesture she used when socially destabilized. Darling, why wouldn't you tell us about this achievement? We could have helped. Would you? I asked, sharp laughter escaping. The same family who called cooking servants work, who cut me off when I chose culinary school. No, you wouldn't have supported me for passion alone. You only see value now that it has status. My father tried to reclaim credit for business sense. I felt anger flare at his attempt. I'd built it myself, without their connections, money, or support. Chef Lila approached in crisp whites, the embroidered name on her chest. Sorry to interrupt, Arya, she said, but the Matsuhisa tasting party has arrived and Sava wants to confirm your interview for next week's feature. Also, your publisher called about the cookbook cover design. Thank you, Lila. Tell them I'll be there shortly. As Lila left, amazement registered on my family's faces. My mother asked, cookbook? Yes, coming out this fall, I confirmed. 120 recipes with personal stories. My mother's coaxing social tone tightened. This is all so impressive. Why didn't you tell us sooner? We could have supported you by cutting me off completely, I answered. We thought it was a phase. 3 years ago, I moved to the city with what little I had. I rented a tiny room in Queens and worked 3 jobs. Prep at a bistro 5 a.m. to noon, line cook in Midtown 1 p.m. to 10 p.m., and weekend shifts at a bakery. I slept 4 hours a night, had blisters and burns up and down my arms. Chef Laurent took me under his wing, and within a year and a half I was running his kitchen as second in command. About 2 years ago, at a private event, a well-known investor named Jonathan Carter tried one of my dishes and asked to meet the chef. He ended up backing me. Together, we found this space. It used to be a failed nightclub. I created the concept, designed the menu, hired the staff, and oversaw every detail. Within 6 months we were profitable. 3 months later, I bought out my investors, and for the past year I've been the sole owner. Their faces shifted from disbelief to reassessment. You let us sit here criticizing your food, wine list, and portions while knowing it was yours, Lily said sharply. I wanted to see how you would treat me if you thought I was struggling, I said. And now I know. That seems manipulative, she snapped, but the embarrassment behind her anger showed. The restaurant had gradually emptied. Lila reappeared with a special reserve cognac for my investors meeting. Chef Lila says the kitchen is ready whenever you are, Jules said as he passed. Tell her I'll be there in 10 minutes, I said. Please let Miranda, I mean Lila, know. I rose from the table. I have a business to run. Dara, Arya, wait, my mother said, lowering her voice. We should celebrate. Maybe brunch this weekend. My business commitments don't suddenly become optional because you finally decided my career is worthy of attention, I replied. The family clustered awkwardly near the bar. My father, used to being in control, looked uncomfortable. Lily's expression wavered between resentment and something that might have been respect. Perhaps we continue this tomorrow, my father suggested, trying a problem-solving tone. Dinner at our place. We have much to discuss, including how we might help you expand. I don't need your help, I said firmly. I didn't build this to win your approval. I built it because this is what I love and I'm good at it. The fact it's successful doesn't retroactively make passion acceptable. My mother's voice softened, the mask of social posture cracking. We're proud of what you've accomplished. Are you proud, or relieved that your choices no longer embarrass you socially? She flinched when I hit a nerve I had. Miranda, Lila had already rejoined the staff, lowered her voice. The Halford group is asking if you'll join them soon. 5 minutes, I promised. I turned back to my family. I need to go. Another rarity, my father said when I hesitated. I thought about the question of where to go from here. Despite everything, these people were my family. I didn't want complete estrangement, just different terms. I was not the family failure seeking redemption. I was a successful chef and business owner who deserved the same respect any other professional would get. No more comments about my life choices, I continued. No unsolicited career advice. And absolutely no attempts to network through my restaurant. I looked pointedly at Martin, who looked embarrassed. My sister's wedding, my mother began tentatively. We'd still like you there. As my sister, not as the failure from before, Lily said more gently. I'll be there, I promised. After a beat I added, if you'd like, I can host a dinner for the wedding party here at Maison as my gift. Lily's eyes widened. After how we treated you, you're still my sister, I said simply. But to be clear, this isn't me seeking approval. It's me offering something I'm proud of, on my own terms. I would be honored, she replied. That small genuine smile of the evening passed between us. Now I really do need to go, I said, gesturing to the private dining room. Of course, my father nodded. As we walked toward the kitchen, Miranda, Lila, joined me. Everything okay? Getting there, I said. Family is complicated, she laughed. My mother still introduces me as the daughter who works at a restaurant like I'm a teenage waitress at Denny's. I smiled, grateful for Lila's understanding. Let's talk spring menu. I have ideas I'm excited about. As I stepped into my sanctuary, the most important revelation wasn't showing my family what I'd built, it was fully recognizing it myself. I had created this success on my own terms regardless of their approval. That knowledge was worth more than their validation. 2 weeks passed in a whirlwind. Spring menu planning, publisher meetings about the cookbook layout, preliminary talks about a possible second location. The family dinner kept surfacing in quiet moments, demanding reflection. Sunday brunch had gone surprisingly well. I'd taken them to Alma's, a hole-in-the-wall run by a former colleague. My parents, uncomfortable with mismatched chairs and graffiti, nevertheless admitted the food's mastery. Simple eggs can taste like this, my father asked, mopping up the last of his shakshuka with homemade sourdough. Small steps, not a complete transformation, but an opening. After closing one evening, I sat at my usual table watching staff finish final duties. Leah hummed while counting the register. Theo and Jules discussed pairings. Lila had left an hour earlier after we finalized spring menu revisions. My phone buzzed with a text from Lily. Florist doubled the quote. Coffee tomorrow. Need straight talk. I smiled at the unexpected request. The relationship with my family was evolving into something I hadn't predicted. Not the unconditional embrace I once craved, but something more valuable, a measured respect between adults with different paths. My mother called more often, her formality softening into genuine curiosity about my work. My father sent an article about women chefs breaking barriers, a silent attempt to understand. Even Owen reached out, asking if he could bring his children to see the kitchen. I want them to know they have options, he said. Success doesn't have to look the same for everyone. These were fragile beginnings. Real healing, I learned, happens in small gestures and quiet moments. The most significant change wasn't my family's perception of me. It was that I'd stopped measuring my worth by their eyes. I had proved myself, not to them, but to myself. I launched a mentorship program for young chefs from disadvantaged backgrounds. Every Saturday, Maison's kitchen turned into a classroom for 8 aspiring culinary artists. One, Zara, showed such promise I offered her an apprenticeship. Watching her confidence grow was a satisfaction different from any professional accolade. Chef, Leah said. We're all set for closing. Anything else? No. You all did amazing work tonight, I smiled. When the last staff left and the restaurant fell quiet, I sat with a blank page and finally found words for the cookbook's introduction. Food has always been my truest language. When words failed, I spoke through flavors. When paths seemed unclear, I followed my palate. The dishes in this book are more than recipes, they're chapters of a life lived in pursuit of authenticity rather than approval. 5 years ago, I stood at a crossroads between expectation and passion. Choosing the latter cost me dearly, but it led to the richest feast I could imagine, not merely in professional success but in discovering that true wealth isn't external validation but the courage to honor your voice.